What's up, Minecraft community? We are the MCP Minecraft College Podcast. I'm your host, it's Iron.
And I'm JT.
And I'm your host, Spacer. Before we continue with the podcast, just want to bring up the new merch. We're wearing the MCP t-shirts right here, right now. Get them while you still can. Copping them off of our skins. We don't care. We're not going to sue you or anything. We totally are going to sue them.
Wait, do we have lawyers for that?
Yeah, we got it. Don't worry.
I think we can manage. I think we're good.
So, first thing we want to talk about before we get into anything, new stadiums are coming in. We don't know when, and we don't know how quick or how late it's going to happen, but we have stadiums coming in. Some new remodeling to a whole bunch of new stadiums, new fields. It's going to be super exciting, like the Magmas, Parrots, Lightning, Fortune, Evokers, Ravs, Gators, Golems, Illies. All these teams have the potential to get a rework on their stadium, or maybe already in the works, including the Riptide and Turtles. I heard that those ones are done and are being wait to be submitted, so keep a lookout for that, see when those are going to be dropping. Guys, talk about it with me. What are you excited to see from these new stadiums?
Well, I mean, I'm excited to see the upgrade, how they're going to take, the iconicness of some of the stadiums and upgrade it to a Minecraft college level, as well as teams, like the Gators, who recently rebranded from the Tropics. They don't even have a stadium. Their stadium is the Tropic Stadium. It's gonna be cool to see the first edition of the Gator Stadium. I'm super excited for this. Super excited to see all the new stadiums. The other ones, they're cool. I like them. But it is time for some upgrades. It's time to move up in the world, considering how much newness and how much, difference is happening with these teams.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome, specifically because there is 12 teams here that are going from high school to college, which means there's going to be a completely different type of environment around them. Because a lot of these high school team fields and everything are specifically made to look like high school fields and stadiums. None of these big, hyped up big stadiums like the Golems and Ravs have anything like that. So I'm really excited to see what type of environment they're going to be bringing for these kinds of things.
What you were saying, Spacer, how high school stadiums are just they have everything in one. They have a track, they have some basic stands, but now college level, when you think about them, they have real kind of NFL, MFL higher stuff like that. And so the jump from high school to college is gonna be really big for those teams, and this includes the Gators. I mean, they've been rebranded a couple times, and they've been from that very low high school level, and now they're way at the top of that college level. So this stadium is really these stadiums are really gonna bring a lot to the MCFL and MHFL, how they can clash and merge.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see things like domes be implemented and those types of construction and everything. I want to see how all this will come together. I want to see these really cool Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl-esque type of stadiums for all these high school teams that have these elemental type of vibes, like the Riptide with their splashes and everything like that, like the mounts and the allays, all that kind of cool stuff. I just want to see how they're going to do that to work it into looking like college. I do agree with you, Iron.
Well, one thing I want to bring up here, like we said in our last podcast about the possibility of the league getting big enough to go back to high school, to a high school division, I think, if we do that, bringing up these new stadiums, making them look nice, I think that incentivizes that you got to do it for basically all of it. You got to make the high school teams all better like they were, and then really you got to elevate the college teams just a little bit more to stand out from a high school level stadium.
100%.
Yeah, even college teams need some revamps. Like we were saying, the Ravs, they've had a stadium for a while. I think you said season 5, and now we're in season 11. So stadiums like that really do need a revamp.
Just to add on, I think we're talking about some really good points here. The point of, if the high school level teams get their stadiums revamped, the actual college teams need to get their stadiums even better to make them stand out. I think that sets up for just some insane stadiums because the college stadiums now are already pretty good, in my opinion. So just seeing that those go further it's just mind blowing. Just the direction that just a simple movement to revamp some high school stadiums will do just for the entire like league and the entire league at all, like the MFL, MCFL, MHFL, just everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do want to hop off this topic and announce something really huge because we heard a demand from I don't know how many DMs I got, I don't know how many you guys got, but we are introducing interviews and clips of the week for the MCP. So, you'll check down below in the description of this video. You'll find 2 Google Forms. One is for the request to be interviewed, and we're gonna look over all of these every single week. And on top of that, we're gonna have a clips of the week. So please send us your clips. Send us your coolest highlights of every game, and please keep them to games. I don't want to see any type of random ranked game or some random scrim and be like, yeah, this is something they gotta put in those clips. Send us your game clips. Show us what you really want everybody to see and know about you and your team and what brings you guys to a little bit of a specialty.
All right, so clips, highlights, interviews, submit it, go to the Google form. We want to see you on this podcast. You want to see yourself on this podcast. But we're going to move on. We have a few more things to talk about today, and that is power rankings. But before we get into power rankings, I just want to say, week 1, it's been a good week, but only one game hasn't been playing. Illies and Evokers. So we are going to be doing our top 8 power rankings, like based off of week 1, but we will not be including Illies or Evokers just because we haven't seen them on the field.
All right, so for my power rankings, if we're going to start this off 8, I'm going to give it to the Magmas. Great close win over the Parrots. I think it really showed that I got to humble myself on the Parrots a little bit. I know they're going to be sneaky. I said they were in my top 5, whatever. It really showed that Panicam shouldn't be 40K for being a quarterback when he only had 2 games last season. But I do think that Parrots team's going to bounce back, but for right now, I don't think they're in my top 8 for the power rankings. I'm giving it to the Magmas. N2 showed what he can do. Crazy though, Smokey's no longer in the league. He has unfortunately been banned, which means that I feel like the Magmas are going to drop off my power rankings really, really quick, unless they get another really good lineman to help them out. For my number 7, I'm giving it to the Fortune. Drew and that team are just absolutely insane. I love everything that he's doing over there, and JT, I'm sorry to say, man, I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. But I do want to acknowledge that they went against the Mountaineers, and it was not a close game, but it was a 2-score game, and that really shows me that they let up enough points. It was 22-37. They let up enough points that it made it look like their defense has a lot to work on, and their offense is able to carry. But when they reach any of these bigger, heavy offensive teams, it's going to hurt a lot. Number 6, I'm going to give it to the Ravengers. They had a great game against the Golems, kept it close. It was a really good game. I like the fight that I saw there. I want to give them the chance to rebound. They have Razorblade, they have Quake, they have Aiden on that team. They can do a lot of damage as long as they're able to unify and make the games, because I'm pretty sure in that Ravs game, Iron, correct me if I'm wrong, that not their entire team made it to that game, their entire starting roster.
Yeah, their whole some starters weren't there that whole game, and I do think that game would have been closer with those starters. But I think the Ravs are a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that they'll be able to have a bounce back if they're able to keep their starters. Riptide are my number 5. You can shun me as much as you want. I'm keeping Riptide in my top 5. I know, hot take, but come on. Nartballs and Bogey, they're going to be astounding as long as Bogey's able to make the games. If people keep scheduling around the times Bogey has his bedtime, it's got Riptide aren't going to be good. But for now, I'm going to put them in the 5. They had a great game against a team that is supposed to be top 3. They had a great game with a team that didn't have Bogey starting, because Bogey wasn't there. They put on an offensive clinic still with not having them. So either that proves that the Allays don't have a good defense, or the Riptide just have something really going that Bogey will unify to be a top 5 team. For the 4, give Give me the Gators, JT. Give me the Gators. I
Yes,
love what I saw there.
sir.
I love what I
Wow.
saw there. The Stars are not it. I love Axon Jackson. I'll give him his flowers. Top 2 coach of all time. But come on, give me the Gators here. I love them. Excuse me, I almost said something that would have cost another censor on the video. But give me the Gators. I love what I'm seeing there. I'm loving what they're putting all together. I love that offense, and it's just they're really working. They know how to play. They're unified. The chemistry is there, and if they keep going like this, I can see them going deep in the playoffs. Number 3, give me the Devil Bats. But speaking of the Devil Bats, huge breaking news. Creamy has retired again. This is crazy, guys. Like, this team could have gone all the way and potentially won the Natty but Creamy retired again. I don't think they're going to stay top 3. They had a great easy game against the Ocelots, but with Creamy gone, I don't think they're going to make it far unless they find a quarterback competent enough to, like, throw the ball. What are your guys' takes on Creamy leaving?
I think it's crazy. I personally don't know how many times he has retired or quit or whatever. I've heard there's a couple. I think if the Devil Bats don't respond soon, this could be a make or break moment for them. This could turn them from, a top 5 team, which we were talking about last time, to a bottom 5 team, just because really they centered their whole game plan this year around him.
But yeah, Devil Bats, top 3 for now. Next week, I don't think I'll even see him in my top 6, unfortunately. Maybe even top 8, depending on how big of a fall off it is. Number 2, give me the Allays. I know I just talked dirty about them against the Riptide, but that's why they're top 2. I think Connell's doing great over there with that team, and they're going to be doing a lot of awesome stuff. But if they play against a team that has a full active offensive unit out there, I don't know how they're going to handle it. Because if they're not able to take the blows that are being given to them, I don't know if Connell will be able to, respond to that, because I saw it last season back on the Masons with him. When the Golems started putting up numbers against us, he was not able to respond. There was a bit too much panic in it, and I'm not saying that he will be able to overcome that, but I'm just saying, as a Heisham winner, Connell, I know you're going to listen to this. You better get that down. You better be able to play that defense. You better be able to respond to those punches, or you're not going to be able to get that Natty trophy. And for my number 1, I think it's obvious. We were probably stroking their egos a bit too much last video, but number 1, give me the Golems. Great game, great performance. If they could keep the activity, they're going to stay number 1 for weeks to come.
All right, Spacer, I think you had some really good takes there, especially about the Gators. And a little bit of our list looks similar going to the top. Starting at the bottom, I want to talk about the Fortune and just sincerely apologize to you guys and say I'm so sorry that I said you were going to be the worst team in the league, and I believed in the Ocelots for some reason. I'm sorry, I don't know ball. But you guys are going in my number 8 slot. In my number 7 slot, give me the Parrots. I still think that they are a high caliber team. Yes, they did take a loss this week, an upset loss to the Magmas, like I predicted. But I still think they have some fight in them. Will they still be on my list going into next week? Win. And we'll see, I guess. Number 6, they had... I know this may be a little low for you guys. They had a tough loss, a tough game against just an amazing team. Number 6 is the Ravagers. I could definitely see them, staying in the list, staying at the bottom, even with another loss, in 2 weeks or something. I still think they're a very solid team. They got a few things to work on, and they can get back up to that high caliber. There's a reason that them and the Golems were the game of the week, because those are 2 very good teams. Number 5, I got the Magmas. Magmas, like Spacer said, they don't have Smokey. Smokey is gone, but they're just getting placed because of what they did this week, and what they did is upset the Parrots. Like I said, Iron, what are you doing, man? Why didn't you believe? Why didn't you believe like me and Spacer did?
Iron doesn't know ball.
But It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they do without Spokey. We talked about it a lot. The offensive line, arguably the most important position in this league. They're going to have to get someone quick because if they don't, they can definitely fall off this list. Number 4, the team I played for, the Gators. I put us a little bit low just because I think other teams looked better this week, but I still think we looked really, really good. We had an impressive win over the Stars. A few hiccups even here and there, but it's week 1. That's obviously bound to happen. Number 3, Devil Bats. Like Spacer said, the QB, gone, retired. That can really make or break their season. I could definitely see the Devil Bats falling off this list and falling off fast. Number 2, Allays. Really good win over the Riptide. Like you said, Bogey was not there. If they can clean it up, they still did pretty good. I could definitely see the Allays staying where they are. But if they don't clean up all the mistakes that they were making in that Riptide game, they could definitely fall to the bottom or even off this list. That may be a hot take, but I could definitely see the Allays going downhill if they don't realize where they are as a team very fast.
I think bottom's crazy, JT.
Yeah, bottom.
I think the
low.
bottom's crazy too, but Bogey wasn't there. There's a lot, you're supposed to, you take advantage of that. You take advantage of anything and everything. I think the Riptide are a pretty decent team. I didn't see enough this week from them to put them on my list. But just struggling against a team who doesn't have like one of their main components. I don't know, man. I could definitely see it if they don't just be completely dominant on both sides of the ball. And number 1, I don't even think I have to explain this. I'm not going to explain this. Golems, number 1 team, took care of business with the Ravagers. An amazing team. Stay active, stay at the top. That's my top 8.
Buts about it. Yep, understood.
It's just simple. You have great players. You have high value players. They stay active. You stay persistent. You're gonna be on the top 24/7. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Iron, I'm gonna give it to you. I've been yapping for way too long.
Thank you. Both lists I did like. There were some questionable takes that were along the way, but before I start mine, I'm gonna give some side notes. So with teams like you guys have been hyping up, or the Fortune and Riptide, personally, neither of those are my top 8. Fortune, they beat Azim-led Mount, who I don't think Azim is not that good. And it was a pretty close game. It was like down to the last like 10 points, and Fortune barely came away with the win here. And then you have the Riptide. They put up a great fight against the Allays, and I genuinely think they could make the top 8. But of course, I gotta be biased for the number 8, my Soul Valley Stars. Well, so
Crazy.
week 1,
Crazy.
yeah, nah.
Wow.
Okay,
wow,
hold on.
Iron.
We may have lost by a bit, but we were missing like 3 starters that game. I was pretty much the only starter there, and I believe our line situation is weird. We have Packers and Daffin. Not sure which one's the starter, so that's why I'm kind of saying like it's a swap up. But we were missing both of our starting receivers, CBs, which did cost us the game. But something else that was really big that game was onside. Both teams let up at least 1 or maybe even 2 onsides that game, and that really affected how each team played.
If I can concur, sorry to cut you off, Iron, just to clarify what you said. Gators recovered 2 onsides, and I'm pretty sure the Stars recovered 3, and one of the Gators onsides, they took it to the house. Just back up your thoughts.
Okay. Continuing. For my 7 team, I have the Parrots. I think they could honestly drop down the because after that loss to the Magmas, it was really like unexpected for me personally. I was on that Panicam train for their win. I really thought they were gonna do good, but they did not live up to the hype. Their ability was not there. They did not ball out as I thought they would, and the Mags came ready to play, and that's why they're my 6th team. They had a great win over the Pirates, very unexpected from my part. They signed a big player, I think Abstract, their quarterback, I believe. They signed him during this intermission between podcasts. So I think that was something that really changed the game for them, and that's why they came up with the win. And I think that's why the Magmas are 15. Moving to the 5, I have the Ravengers. A loss to the Golems has dropped them down a little, but I do think they are a good team. They are receiver led for sure. Aiden, Razorblade, and somebody else. And then they have Quake. Quake, I think he's just a little rusty. He hasn't played in a while. I know that, but I think they could bounce back in week 2, maybe climb the rankings or stay the same or even drop. They are a very questionable team for me, and they sit with me right now. Moving on to 4. I really don't want to place them here, man. The Marshland Gators.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They had a win against my team. It was a good win. They pretty much doubled their points, pretty much. But the onsides game again, they were just crazy. They led up 2, I think. We led up 2, but they had 2 touchdowns from it, and I don't think we even scored on them. So their defense is bulked up, and I really do like that team. And then you got quarterback Sean. Sean is finally growing to his own. I mean, you saw him last season. I think I forget what team. Spacer. Do you know what team it was last
It was the Fletchers he was on.
Thank you. The Fletchers. Him on the Fletchers, he didn't produce as well as people thought. The reigning MVP from MCFL moving up. He was expected to have a great season, but he didn't really produce. And now I think this is where Sean comes to light. He is at sophomore level, coming into a new version of himself with a new team. I'm really excited for the Gators. Number 3, I have the Double Bats. They could easily just drop from this list. Losing their star quarterback, Creamy.
Yes.
He has retired a couple times, quitting, and that team was really just centered around him. Like, everybody came there for him, and that's why that team is really just like the most controversial team out there. And I'm not 100% sure if they will last. They could easily stay in the top 8 if they find that quarterback, and they just continue to practice to build chem. And they could easily stay up in these top 3. And moving to the top 2, I have my number 2 team is Arctic Allies. I ref that Riptide game and the Riptide Ally game, and honestly, it was really neck and neck for the first half. Like, both teams were laying up touchdowns. So there was points where they could not move the ball, the Allies or the Riptide. So it was a really close game, and but they did prevail at the end. They started to figure out what they had a problem with. They started to shift, and that's once they started building on it, that's what happened. And I think the Allies are going to actually win this game and become even a better team. That's why I can see them staying with that, or maybe even taking, which I have number 1. Their entire roster is skilled. I love Zulu. I love who's their lineman? Zion. He's my lineman back in last season when I won MVP. Definitely a big part of that MVP for me. And then you have the receivers. They have Villain Snowy. Excellent. They have been playing for a long time and all 4 of them, I mean, have some great camp together and that skill, and that's why I still am going to keep after that win against the much needed win against the Ravs, which keeps them at 1, and I think they are the best team currently.
I mean, it looks like obviously our top 4 is the same all the way through, which is really surprising, but I'm glad that we're all on equal agreement of that. I think that obviously means from all different corners of MCFL, we can definitely look and say those guys are the top 4. And maybe some people have varying opinions or whatever, but who really cares about those? It's only the MCP here, guys.
And, just to add on to that, varying opinions. The basis of our power rankings right now are week 1, and I don't think you can dispute the facts regarding our top 4 teams, that they are top 4 teams, just how they displayed themselves this first week. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow the Illies and Evokers, how good both teams perform, and if they will crack our top 8 and mix up our list. I am really excited for that game. Like I said last week, contender for game of the week, really hoping it's a good one. Super excited about it and just to cover it in our next episode.
I mean, yeah, I'm really excited to see the Illies Evokers game. I'm excited to see them change everything up in our power rankings. I definitely think they can mess up the 4-5 area, change a lot of these teams around, make us really guess who's going to make playoffs and not. But since we're excited to see what's going to happen, let's talk about what already happened. Let's talk about our week 1 game day predictions and everything. And not to brag or anything, but I guessed all of mine perfectly, besides my very own game, which my team won that I guessed we wouldn't. So, I know, I'm just good like that. But how about let's start with the Turtles Lightning game. Let's bring that up, because we all had the Turtles somewhat moderately high until we did realize that Fiasco and Sourdough, they could not make the game, and it seemed, Sorry, not Fiasco, Liano. My apologies. Liano and Sourdough could not make the game, and from my experience, we had a lot of trouble. Turtles had to sign about 5 or 6 players to play the game just so they were able to field, and it was awful. And don't get me wrong, my game was pretty bad too. It was a toilet bowl in a sense, but it really makes me question: do the Turtles have a chance to make it far? What are your guys' opinions?
Yeah. So the Turtles signed pretty much the whole roster that the 15 minutes before. You had Crip, DDG, Lunger, and a couple more players. And so I think they could do better in the future. This really was a boring game to me. I refed it. It was this Cole Shiesty run, and then that occasional throw.
I mean, what are you supposed to do when you got a wide receiver at quarterback?
Like,
actually, how about you don't tell me what to do, because I won my game, Iron.
Iron's the only person to have not won their game this week.
Hey, okay, JT, you had 2 tackles.
Yep. He still got a W easy tonight.
Yeah,
Iron.
who's walking away this week 1-0 right now? I mean, like, come on,
No,
Iron.
wait, hold on. We can only have bragging rights because next week is week 2, and I get to play Spacer World. And after I wipe your team on the floor and beat your team,
okay,
and I'll have the bragging rights.
Looks like something we're gonna have to come back to after the game is played. Oh,
yeah,
this is here.
Yeah, keep that energy, Iron. Keep that energy.
No, once you see my full roster, we have Packers, we have Pluto, we have Paprison, we have me. We're gonna absolutely tear down your team. Maybe you have Donnie, you'll have Shark. But I remember last time I played Shark, I whooped his. And Donnie.
Whoa, that's gonna be some more bleeping.
Iron, come on, man. Keep it PG. I know that we're a little heated right now, Iron, but it doesn't. Dude, come on.
Well, just wait, okay? I think you have Donnie, you have Screwball, you have Shark.
Here, Iron. Let's keep this.
But then
energy.
you have Cole. You have Cole.
Iron. Let's keep the energy for the next episode. All right. Let's talk about the rest of week 1's game day. All right. Okay. I don't want to talk about it. JT, what are your opinions on the Turtles Lightning game before we move on?
I said the Mounts and Fortune game was going to be the toilet bowl. I was wrong. Fortune, I'm so sorry. This game sucked. But I think it's a lot to go off for both teams, especially the Turtles, actually. The Turtles, really. If they can't get some stability on their roster, if they can't get activeness, if they can't form, bonds and chemistry between, wide receiver, QB, all that, then this Turtles team is going to go way off the rails and fast. So, I think, Lightning missing some players. They have a lot to work on. Turtles have a ton to work on as well. So Turtles in jeopardy. That's my take on this game.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna admit it was a pretty bad game, but let's not dwell on the past. Let's go on. Actually, let's dwell on the past. Let's go on to a different game. How about the Devil Bats versus Ocelots game? Most of us knew this was gonna be a blowout.
All right,
We knew
listen.
Yeah, some of us.
Most of us
Mr.
knew this was
It's a
gonna
lot.
be a blowout.
Let me explain my reasoning, okay? I chose the Ocelots to beat the Devil Bats. Really, I was just salty that the Devil Bats kicked me off the team going into the merger. Okay, listen.
Okay.
I definitely do know ball, but it's wishful thinking. The Ocelots are screwed. They're going 0-7. I'm just gonna say it right now.
I don't know. I think they could sneak a few games in with the Devil Bats and what's happened. Personally, from what I heard and what I saw from that game, because I came in for a quarter, I watched the game for a quarter, and I got really bored because it was just a beatdown, and I felt so bad for the Ocelots. Web Hop, I platonically love you, man. You're doing great with that team. Please look into considering signing some better prospects. I know you just grabbed good to bad, but I know you can manage that salary cap, all right?
Yeah. So the Ocelots, I think, have like the best team chemistry out of any team. They are just so fluent together. But then you have a sophomore QB, Web Hop miss a kick a lot, and then you have Snowy. I think no, it's not Snowy. Sorry, good to bad. And then you have I think Hawks is their line. I mean that's just a little revamped Ocelots season 7 team having a sophomore quarterback, Web Hop. That doesn't sit in the boat. And then you have the Devil Bats, who just absolutely destroyed them. Creamy balled out of his mind. Sheer Pluto did Sheer Pluto things, and I think they had a great game. The Bats had a great game, and some people don't know what ball is sometimes, but some people do.
Is that why you
And-
lost?
Oh, wow.
Hey, Mr. Two Tackles.
Hold on. Speaking of Iron losing, let's talk about the Gators Stars game. That was supposed to be a really exciting high school game for you guys to be competing in. So, come on guys, talk to me. What happened that was the one game I didn't show to. I know we talked about the onside and everything, but how about instead of talking about who wasn't there and the onside, let's just talk about what was this offensive and defensive production, and what should we expect from both the Gators and Stars next game?
Well, first off, right out of the gate, I'm not showing any bias when I say this. The Gators in the first half were electric. I'm pretty sure going into the half, it was like 28-7 or something like that, up 3 scores. Granted, the Stars had a couple of onside kicks like we talked about that got them back in the game, but what really set it off was the defensive plays from the Gators, making the QB throw some bad throws, not being able to move the ball, making them have tough 3rd and 4th down plays. I think really, even though, they scored a ton of points in this game, the Gators defense really carried them into a win over a pretty decent Stars team.
JT, I got a question for you. Did Iron play like a high school MVP?
I was on the sideline because I'm just a special teams guy, but a high school MVP? No. A high school player? Yes. Iron, I'm not saying this to be hateful, mean, or rude, but it's like when I turned around, you're throwing 5-6 blocks away from your receiver. It's like you didn't have any chemistry going. Can you talk to us about like what was going on for the Stars offense? Because really, all I saw was you capitalizing on Gators' mistakes and the onside kicks from you. So what was going on there?
Starting off with the onside kicks, I started losing my mind. I actually lost it, and that's probably what put us down, because I got so just focused on that, because I just how do you do that on an onside kick? You let 2 touchdowns, and that just blew my mind, and that's what really, I think, blew me out of portion. But we also were missing like all our starters. We were missing. The only one was me technically. We were missing Paprison and Pluto, which would have made a big change to our defense and offensive wise. We maybe would have caught some more lobs and things like that. But also the line competition was a little unfair. I kind of had to roll back like 10, 20 yards every play, and that's why I won MVP last season. Personally, I think Xeon really helped me a lot that season, and that's what because I love having a good line. Good lines are what make a team better and a quarterback better. And so having that line disadvantage really just struggled me, and I was forcing shots to be honest. I had those first game jitters, and that's what I've been doing most of my career. But on bats, we just had such good chemistry that I didn't really have that too much. I was just having fun, and that was the main thing. But on stars, I don't know a lot of some of these people. I've never played with Pluto before. Paprisa never. Otter, I enjoy Otter. I have some good chem with Otter and Daffin too, but he's my lineman. And then you have Novi, who's a vet, and I think he played good, but we just don't have that chem that the Gators had, which I really like the Gators team.
So speaking of line situations, let's bring up the Magmas versus Parrots game. Smokey's one game he was able to play in before he was banned for very good reasons. But now they have Abstract and N2, and I know they have a lot of experience with each other. So let's talk about that Parrots Magmas game. JT, Iron, what are your opinions on it?
So my opinions on the Mags Parrots game. Personally, I had the Parrots winning because I was on the Panty train. I enjoyed Panty. I enjoyed Elite. I thought these guys were it. They seemed like they had good chemistry. They had the skill. They had everything there that I thought they could make a good team. But back to you saying that line situation, I guess Smokey just outprevailed on, I believe it was Base Buzzer line. Or if not, it was Spago, whatever. The Alleys line. So it was pretty much a MHFL last season line battle between the reigning like best MHFL line versus like the second and third best. And so that's what I think helped the Magmas a lot. And then you have the quarterback on the Mags, Abstract, who was signed just before and got to work with the team. And I think it was an unexpected win, and I believed in the Magmas now. I think the Magmas are good. Just Blair, Abstract, their team, I think, can push a run, maybe into the playoffs. And
well, JT, I guess we know when a team's gonna have an upset or not. How about you talk to us about your opinion?
I mean, I just know ball.
You know ball. You know ball.
It's like a catchphrase now on the podcast. But I really did like this Magmas team, and I think they're gonna take a real hit from not having Smokey anymore. You put this. I'm gonna say it. If you put this game next week. You say the Magmas played a different team this week, and then they lost Smokey. Parrots and Magmas play. I think the Parrots take it out on top. I do still think the Magmas are good without Smokey. I just think he plays just a crucial role in just what they got going over there.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you can't refute that. He's a great player, and to see him go, it sucks. But he. Did deserve it. We're not going to get into that on here. We've already gotten, a couple censors. So we'll stay away from that so we don't end up the same. I can see the Magmas go both ways. I kind of want to just for a few weeks kind of get a feel of them. That's why they're so low in my rankings, but I still do like this Magmas team.
So we talked about the lining, Turtles, Parrots, Magmas, Stars, Gators, your guys' team, Devil, Bats, Ocelots. So we got just a few more, but I want to save that game of the week for last. So how about we talk about the Fortune Mounts game? That game, JT, I think you need to do a bit more apologizing to the Fortune.
I'm sorry. Listen, Fortune. I'm sorry. You guys played a pretty decent game over there against the Mounts, who, aren't good, but, just never bet on the Mounts. That's the moral of the story. No. But I was wanting the Mounts to get a win because they haven't gotten a win in a long time, but it was not going to happen today. Y'all played a pretty good game. But moving forward, I want to see more. I want to see more on offense, defense, just more from you, because this is a competitive league. There's some really good teams out here, and if you're gonna make me apologize so much, I better see some results. I better not see like a 2-5 season and get righted all season because I put you in my bottom tier. I don't want to see that. I want to see you guys do some great things because y'all have some good players on your squad. I just want to see you guys just do what you did this week, but better going into the next week.
Okay, so I have something that's gonna be kind of a bold take. So, yes, the Fortune won. But was it against a good team? No! They played a Zeem-carried Mounts team. And I don't think the Mounts are that good of a team. They could potentially be one of the worst teams in the league unless they do some big transaction deals, stuff like that.
Speaking
the Fortune?
of, sorry to interrupt you. Speaking of Zeem carried Mounts, Zeem's left the Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's actually crazy news. I was talking to him about it in the preseason. He was really determined to turn this team around, and for him to just not be on that team anymore, it's absolutely wild. Completely, like, not a clear future for the Mounts moving forward.
Yeah, so go back to what I was saying. I'm not confident believer in the Fortune. I think Fack is a great line for them. And then the quarterback's Jack, who I played some scrims against him. He's good, but I don't think he has enough experience. He's only been playing he's been like actually like really actively playing only for about like since the merger. And so I'm not 100% sure on his case. And then their best receiver, I believe, is Dex. And then they have RS, which is an okay receiver core, but I'm not fully on this train. I think they can do some actions in the future, but this being such a close game against this level of Mounts team, I'm not sure about what the Fortune have in the future.
Well, speaking of future, I do want to talk about the Allays Riptide. There is a bright future for both those teams, specifically the Allays. I mean, obviously the Riptide have Bogey, but if people start just scheduling around when Bogey needs to go to sleep, this Riptide team is not going to be doing well. But if he's there, he is that playmaker, and he will get them far, and maybe even into the playoffs. But that Allays team, that team's scary. What I'm worried about, though, in the future for them is that, like, week 3, week 4, what if something happens and they start looking bad? Is the team going to falter? Are players going to leave? Are they going to need to rebuild mid-season before the playoffs even come? What's going to happen with their power rankings? That's the things that I'm worried about, because even though that team's good, players jump around the league. It's never for long, but I just want to think, what do you guys think on the future of both these teams?
I am here for it. I'm here for the Riptide. I think they could be a great team in the future. But if they center on Bogey, search out Nurtballs, Henry VC, that 3 core is just going to send them. I am a strong believer in this Riptide team. I love it. And they actually put up a great fight, even without Bogey, against the Heisman-led Allays. And moving into the Allays aspect, the Allays are projected to be really good, and they did live up to hype. They beat the Riptide, but it wasn't always like such a far game you'd think. I ref that game. In the first half, it was really close. It was neck and neck. Maybe a 1-score game for the Allays, but it wasn't like nothing. No one like seemed like they were a big lead there. And then, but once they got to the third quarter and moving into the fourth, that's where the Allays really start to build that team chem and then start to understand how each other plays. And they swapped their mindset, and they finally pushed and persevered through that Riptide's team. And I'm really excited for both of these teams. I think that was a great game I watched.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to agree. There's not much more to say. There's so much potential for both of these teams to Bogey to just really elevate his team when he can be there. And the Allays, solid team. Gotta keep performing, gotta keep doing good, taking advantage of all the opportunities like they had this week. But it's so much to look at week 1. It really is just taking away from one game, because like you said, people jump around a lot in this league. up. So it's going to be really interesting to see, and I'm really gonna just keep my eye on both of those teams.
Yeah, I'm really interested in what's gonna happen. But finally we reached it, the game of the week, that Ravs versus Golems game. Personally, I think it was amazing, fitting for a game of the week, specifically with the fact of that Ravs team didn't have their full starting roster and were still limiting the Golems and how much they were able to score. I'm pretty sure, let me just double check right here. The result of that game, yeah, it was 28-14. I mean, for a team to not have their full starting roster and only let up 4 touchdowns and still put 2 touchdowns on the board, that is great. That shows how good the Ravs depth is, and it shows how much the Golems can handle such a team. Even without having the game plan thrown out the window or whatever, it still shows that, hey, they can still limit a team no matter what it is, and the Ravs showing that they have depth that can create a lot of good potential. And if this is what their backups look like, I can't imagine what their starting roster looks like.
Yeah, just moving forward, the rematch in the playoffs that this could set up, with
that's gonna
both
be amazing.
teams just being fully there. The game of the season, from the game of the week to the game of the season, just the potential there. These are 2 fantastic teams. There's a reason the Golems are at 1. There's a reason the Ravagers are so high in all our lists after a loss and their starters not really showing up. These teams don't count the Ravagers out. I'm telling everyone right now, do not count the Ravagers out. They are a solid team, a team you should fear this year, as well as the Golems. 2 amazing teams. Great for the people who scheduled this game week 1 to give us something excited about for this season. You did a great job. Hats off to you, dude. That was a fantastic game to watch.
Yes. So starting off with the Ravagers. Their team, led by quarterback Quake, after coming off an unban, I think he's been doing good. He maybe didn't ball out as much as he could have in that first game against the Golems, but I am here for it. I think he's gonna do well in the future. And then with Razorblade at receiver, they're really gonna do well. But then that game came down also to like skill and chem. See the Golems. They have Vil, Snowy, and Zulu. All players who have experience, skill, and chem, and I think that's what put them over the top over the Ravagers. They just know what they're doing. They've been here for a while, and I'm loving this Golems team. I'm loving this Ravs team. I think this was a great game of the week, and I am excited for both of these teams in the future.
Thank you guys for all your opinions and everything. Thank you everybody for tuning in to the MCP, the Minecraft College podcast. Do want to clarify before we wrap up this video. Remember, take a look into the description. We have 2 Google Forms, one for guest requests and for clips of the week. So please make sure to take a look at those, interact with us, tell us what you want us to do next. We have everything lined up for our next video. Keep in tune. We're going to have a schedule. We're going to be posting bi-weekly. Glad to see you guys. Thank you for coming. Hope to see you in the next video.
Bye.